So shall I bore you with my photographic exploits today?
No, no.
We have already vlogged about this whole area, so if you missed it, go and check it out because we got some beautiful video footage. So for today at least for me, it's about photography, and I'm taking two lenses with me. Both of them are legacy lenses, meaning they're as old as I am, manual focus. Because it means carrying weight in the rucksack, I wanted to minimise myself to just two lenses. So one is an Olympus 24mm 2.8, tiny compact lens it is, nice wide angle, and then the other one is a Nikon 90. This is completely new to me. I've never owned Nikon lenses before. It's an f2, so it's supposed to render portraits and close-ups and what have you very beautifully. So that's what I'll be playing with today. No doubt I'll talk more about them soon. Here comes a car.
Just in case we haven't already said, this is Kinabalu Park. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Park in Sabah, Borneo. And obviously it houses Mount Kinabalu, the highest mountain in Malaysia, I think the second highest in all of Southeast Asia. So we're not going to the top of the mountain, we're just going to stick to the forests. And I think I will probably be doing a lot of standing around. What do they call it? They call it something, don't they? Breathing in the trees, bathing. I'll be bathing in the forest today.
Well, the good thing about photography is that it gives you an excuse to catch your breath every 5 minutes.
And we haven't even started yet. That's it, Jamie. Here's the beginning.
Yep, so we're going to do the Silau-Silau Trail, which from the top of the hill, of course, is downhill. And then somewhere down the bottom we reach a T-junction and there's the Bukit Burung trail. So we may actually take a turning left and go back up and sort of sweep down from the top. It all depends on how we feel when we get to that junction though. But hopefully the first bit should be quite easy. That's in terms of photography, the lighting isn't particularly good, it's very washed out and grey, but every now and then the sun appears and pokes its head through the branches of the trees and you get little glimpses of light, which is what we're looking for. But aside from the photography, it's good just to enjoy the walk for what it is, of course.
Yellow bluebell. No idea what it is, just really pretty. You do it all right?
Yes.
Did you get wet?
No, I didn't get wet, but some of this plant in particular, I don't know what it is, it has fierce little thorns on the underside of it. So it looks like a sort of generic, innocuous looking palm.
Fern?
Sorry, fern, but yeah. They are really quite vicious and they love fleeces and clothing.
Well, I think I'll stay up here and take some video footage and you can piss around down there.
So I just popped in here because I figured there might be a photo here. Again, the lighting is not great at all, but we'll see if we can find something. Great thing about using a modern mirrorless camera is, of course, suddenly these old legacy lenses come back to life again. These lenses that were once forgotten and put on the shelf to collect dust, people are starting to use them more and more because even though they are 30, 40, 50 years old or more, they still knew how to build lenses back in the day. So a lot of them are super sharp, and of course the only thing you don't get is autofocus. Everything is manual. One of the things that I've noticed with the lenses that I've brought with me on this trip is the MFD, or the minimum focusing distance. And what this is it's a restriction in being able to focus on objects which are close up. So in the case of the Nikon, its minimum focusing distance is 0.8 meters. So anything closer than 0.8 you can't focus on. Surprisingly, however, I did find that the Olympus 24mm, which is a 2.8, which is particularly fast for a legacy wide angle, actually can focus quite closer, but of course because it's a wider angle you're getting more in the picture, so it can be quite difficult to isolate subjects, throwing off the background, making it blurry and keeping your foreground in focus, especially when it comes to things like small things like plants. You have to step back in order to be able to maintain that minimum focusing distance. Now, one answer to this is to use a helicoid. And a helicoid is an adapter which fits in between the end of your lens and your camera. And this allows you to move the lens and to get closer to your subject. So I don't have one, unfortunately, but that's definitely going on the list, because what I'm finding here is that I'm trying to get isolated close-up shots of things like flowers and mushrooms, and I'm not able to. I have to step back in order to get the thing in focus, which is a little bit restricting. Of course, the answer to that is cropping, but I try not to crop my photos. If you remember in our vlog when we last came here, we talked about the naked tree, and that's the tree that sheds its bark to reveal its sort of copper brown trunk, I suppose. And we've got one here, and the sun keeps poking through and it's creating this beautiful lighting on the base of this naked tree here. So I'm just going to wait here until the sun comes out again and see if I can get a shot of this.
So I was just saying to you that my walking boots don't seem to be just as watertight as they used to be, and I was right, because uh-oh. Well, we did the Silau-Silau. We've now come up and we're going to do the Bukit 2-patch shelter, which is just up there. I don't know if there's anywhere to go after that. This is the Mempening trail, which is what we were thinking about doing. But anyway, here we are. Here. Can't really read it very well.
I think it's the second longest trail of all the ones in this park. I think the biggest one is probably closed. This is all very well, but I've just checked the maps and we go up and down a few contours. Doesn't matter. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. We've got a good 4 hours of light. It's just nice being away from everyone. By the way, when it comes to GoPro footage, I tend not to do too much colour correction, but one thing I think you'll notice, having checked back on some of the footage, is exactly how green it is here. And what you're seeing on screen is pretty much what we're seeing here. It is just so green, so rich in greenness. How green is it?
That's my valley. It's as green as my valley. It's very, very green. We've come from the blue into the green.
Do you know where we are?
I think we're getting closer and closer to the headquarters. I'm just looking for fish. Can't see any.
Always a fisherman. I think actually this is the river that we followed on the way down. We've sort of come in a big arc and we've met up with the river again, and we're going to go back up the hill to follow the river back up to the headquarters. Well, we're really fighting with the light now. I've got the GoPro on 100 ISO. It's not on auto, so it's not compensating for the light, and the footage here on the GoPro gives you an idea of the kind of true light that we're actually contending with. It's almost night time. It's so overcast above, and we're in among the shadows of the trees here in this stream. We're really pushing the limits of the camera now. Now, you saw a couple of shots there of it's a classic moving water shot where you keep the shutter open so that you get this smooth effect. Then if you try and capture the motion of it, so you're putting the shutter at 1/250 or something, I'm having to push the ISO right up, even on the tripod. I'm having to put the ISO at something like 2000. So we're fighting here with lighting. It's not great for photography. So I think what I need to do now is work out how the bloody hell I get out of here. I've got to climb up here, and it's a little bit slippery. Please? Please? We are at our next location, having spent the morning at the Botanical Gardens, Kinabalu Park, which never fails to disappoint. It was really nice, just got a few nice photos there. But I get blown away here. There is apparently some unprecedented weather at the moment, and we are on the ridge of the Crocker Range, I suppose, at this great resort up in the mountains, 3 kilometres up a broken road. And look at the view. This is our little apartment here. Look at this view. Mount Kinabalu from an angle that we haven't seen before. So this ridge literally sits either side of Mount Kinabalu on that side, and then the Crocker Range, which is just down here, and it runs all the way across there. So we're hoping for some more great photographic opportunities, maybe a little bit of trekking. Just before we go off and do a little bit more trekking, I thought it was worth mentioning that all of the photos I've taken were shot in RAW, so that does mean some processing is required. With the photos you've seen so far, I really wanted to give an idea of how the lenses perform. So I just stuck to the auto settings in Adobe Camera Raw and Photoshop. I didn't push it too much, maybe a little bit of levels and a little bit of sharpening, but not too much. And as you can see, that Nikkor 85mm is razor sharp, so no sharpening required there. The next set of photos were shot on a very hazy day, so I was a little bit more ambitious with the sliders, a little bit of creative license allowed on a couple of the photos, but again, they give a very good idea of the performance of these lenses. Don't forget, here at Follow the Boat we are about sailing and travel, and this episode is clearly about our inland travels, but we have some sailing plans updates to give you in an up and coming episode very soon. So please do subscribe to the channel. If you like it, then hit that like button. If you didn't like it, then hit that like button 3 times. And don't forget to share it as well, because it really does help us. And if you'd like to support us, check out followtheboat.com/pub.
Right, so how pleased are you that we came this way?
It's a bit of fun, isn't it? This is actually the smooth bit. The road is literally falling away. It's breaking apart, and it makes for very trying driving. Oh look, a bit of concrete. Wow, what a novelty. This is the shortcut, by the way. The other way is to go through Kundasang and around on the established roads, but this is one of Furlong's magical mystery tours.
No comment. Well, this is where Jamie's Magical Mystery Tours have got us on the side of the mountain on a rather windswept day. Beautiful day actually. It'd be a nice day to go hiking if we could just find a hike.
It's all closed. Views are incredible though.
Yeah, the views are magnificent, and usually there's lots of little trails and things that are open here, but they're all closed off because the whole place has been closed for 9 months and they're just not geared up yet for tourists. So we're just going to keep looking, and we'll jump out and take some photos if we see anything really interesting, and if we find a climb we will climb it or walk it or trail it or whatever.
I'm just crouching down here to record this bit to try and hide from the wind. It's so windy up here. What Liz wanted me to show you was that. I don't know if you can see that. Just past that tree to the left there's a little lookout hut. I think that could be the Pyramid Hill that we were trying to find the booking in office for, but as Liz says, everything is closed unfortunately, but there still could be a chance to try and get up there. So that's what we're going to try and do first, is try and climb up there. If we do get up to the top there, we're going to get blown off the edge. See what I mean?
Right, twisty turny road all over the place, everything's shut. Just saw a sign pointing up a narrow road saying Sodikon Hill, and to be honest with you, Sodikon is how I feel at the moment. So we've parked the car and we're going to walk up this road, which hopefully will take us to the top of a hill where we'll get another view of the mountain and the valley, and it involves a little bit of exercise, so that's not bad, so let's do it. He's fanning around with his cameras at the moment, don't know what's going on, but looks alright.
Oh, mask back on because we're about to go and pay to do Sodikon Hill. Liz is calling it Soddington Hill because she's in a sodding mood again. I tell you what, when you start marching up hills wearing a mask, you really notice it. So I have to take this off. Now, normally, I guess for our vlog, we'd start off with a beautiful drone piece. We brought the drone with us, but as you maybe have to tell, the wind is pretty fierce, and this is this typhoon that's going over the top of the Philippines. As we speak, it is vicious and it is kicking up all kinds of weather all the way up the coast of Borneo, and even inland as we're seeing here. We're getting a lot of wind coming through, and that's why the weather hasn't been great for photography on this trip, which is a little bit of a shame. So we've just made do with what we can, but today it's a little bit clearer, still quite hazy, but it's just nice to get out and do some exercise. You know, I don't eat big breakfasts for nothing. I do it so that I am prepared for a nice walk. And of course, typically, being the mad dogs and the Englishmen that we are, it is coming up to midday.
Can you imagine what this place looked like 100 years ago? Before there were any roads, before there were any towns, any buildings, this was entirely forest. It was nothing but forest. There were small communities of local people living here in small villages. They'd probably never been out of the mountains, they'd probably never seen the coast, living very small lives. Now, I mentioned all that last night to Cisco, who's running the hotel where we're staying, and he said, no, he said 1970 it was like that. And his grandparents and a lot of the people that he knows now, the old people, they remember when it was like that, when there was no development. I'd love to have seen it then. I think there are some photographs, but this place wasn't opened up, the interior wasn't opened up for a very long time. And it is a bit of a worry when you look around, you see all the farming that's going on, and all, actually in Kundasang, all the homestays and all the tourism that's going on is eating in and chipping away. Well, we've got the Kinabalu Park, which is UNESCO heritage, and you're not allowed to build there, and there are pockets of parks where you're not allowed to build. But now, I don't know, it looks more like the bottom of the Alps, you know, where all those little Tyrolean villages are, and I don't know, it's become a real kind of tourist area. Hasn't lost its charm and its beauty, it's changed, but I hope they are able to stop any further development. When we were in Sodikon last year, we went to see the memorial there to the renowned Death Marches, which was pretty moving. And now we're in Borneo, and this is where the Death Marches finished and where most of the prisoners eventually died, if they hadn't already died on the way or in Sodikon. And we've got the first two things you see are the Australian garden, and then you walk into this, the British rose garden, beautifully done, with Kinabalu looking down over the top. And then after the Australian and the English garden, we have the Borneo garden, because many men from Borneo were also killed during the death marches. And not just the death marches, the people that tried to help them, the villagers, were killed as well. This just gives us a chance to remember them